Our gospel reading this morning, again, comes from the book of Luke, as this is the year of Luke in the lectionary, and we're sticking with the lectionary for a few weeks, and the readings started out last week talking about stewardship of gifts and talents, and we continue on this morning in chapter 12 of Luke, and I'll be reading 32 through 40. Let's give a listen to what Luke writes about our message for today. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it's in your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give alms. Make purses for yourselves that do not wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there also will be your heart. Be dressed for action and have your lamps lit. Be like those who are waiting for their master to return from the wedding banquet, so that they may open the door for him as soon as he comes and knocks. Blessed are those slaves whom the master finds alert when he comes. Truly, I tell you, he will fasten his belt and have them sit down to eat. And he will come and he will serve them. If he comes during the middle of the night or near dawn and finds them so, blessed are those slaves. But know this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You must also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. Here ends the words of our Lord. Thanks be to God. Can you see? Many of you will recognize this one. I think it's part of certainly the American culture to use this as an analogy for sometimes people's personality and definitely people's attitudes. You either see this as what? You did it perfectly. I love you all. You got the first part. It's either, loudly you said, it's either, and then it kind of got a little mumbled, half full, half empty, half full. Isn't that what the psychological analysis is about? You can only have this two ways. The glass is either half full, or somebody drank half of it, and it's half empty. Jesus' question this morning is, how are you managing what's in the glass? Never mind about being worried whether I've got it half full or whether I've got it half empty. Take what Jesus gives you and think about how you manage what you've got. I was pleased and happy and even joyful because this glass appears to be, and I did not set this up, it appears to be overflowing with things that you said were your treasures. Verse 32 this morning. We're going to kind of pick this apart a little bit. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. You got that? to give you the kingdom. Every one of us has already been gifted God's kingdom. We all have inherited everything we need for eternal, lasting, everlasting, forever and ever, and even ever life. You know the phrase? It's an old phrase, guys. You can't take it with you. Pretty true. Unfortunately, many of us in our own minds, or perhaps our own hearts, quietly say to that, yes, well, I'm just going to hang on to this just for a little while longer. I might really need it someday. 33 and 34. Sell your possessions and give alms. Make purses for yourselves that don't wear out. An unfailing treasure in heaven where no thief comes and no moth destroys. For where your real treasure is, there also your heart will be. When you came in this morning, I asked you to write down and answer 2 questions. The first one was, if you had a consuming house fire, let's say in the middle of the night, what would you grab and take with you? And then I added, if you heard me, because people were already doing the task at that time, I said, we're not looking for the preferred answer that you know would be good to say in church. Okay? Because they're stuffed in there, and you're all mixed in together. All right? I was looking for you to write down, if that really happened to you and you knew that it was out of control, no matter what our fire guys, as valiant as they are, that house was going to be in ashes. And you had 3 minutes. What would you grab? What would you take with you? And the second question was this: what special treasures do you spend your extra money on? Now, let's be frank. We all know somehow or another, even those of us that are on that fixed budget or whatever you want to call it, have something that they treasure in this material place. Right? Yeah. And I'm hoping they're all in there. And I love you, so we won't share. But as transparent as I try to be, I'm going to open my box. Well, maybe, Christy, I got it. I can't believe this, but I did. I'm honest. I said I try to be transparent. I thought about this because I had more time to think about it than you guys did. And I wasn't going to, no, that's really, oh, Kathleen, what's wrong with you, girl? And then I went, no, this is the lifeline to call for help, to do whatever. It is for me not priceless, because I can go get another one, you see. But it's what it does for me in terms of connection to people that I love, and to help, and to medical attention. And so it's in the box. Mm-hmm. It is my emergency Emitrex sumatriptan tablets. In the last 25 years, I have learned that I better not go anywhere without this box. Because if I don't, and I get a migraine attack, I'll be in the ER. And so this, in my life, has become vitally important. It is one of my treasures. I know you can't see it in the back. This is the first edition, leather-bound, Robert Burns poems. Seriously, PK? And I wasn't thinking about this when I put it in there. The inscription on the inside says this. This is to Irvin N. Rowe on his 21st birthday in 1926. It is the thing that stays by my bed, and it represents my dad, who is with me. Now we're getting down to it, aren't we, gang? Christy, you ready? And I wasn't sure that the box was big enough. Now, if you think about this, I'm not being unrealistic, because I can get all this like this. You can run. I know brother, these things are all right by my bed. So that's a no-brainer. Okay, Christy, can you put it up? And I also, because that's hanging on the other wall in my room, would grab that. That's a picture of Elsie when she was about 10 years old. Let's see the next one. That's a picture of Elsie when she wasn't 10 years old. And that was on our vacation that I took her with me in July when I was away from you guys. And we made our way to the UP. And that's also in my phone, so I've got it. It's also in the cloud, so I don't have to worry if it gets destroyed. That's a good thing. Okay, let's go on. There he is. There's the Zona. He is the farm dog. And yep, he keeps us straight and narrow. He loves to herd everything from cattle to cats. Yeah, he's the dog. So I would make sure he got out. What else you got? And this is the newest member of the family. That's Ella Bella. And Ella Bella was dropped off by the side of the road, more than a month ago now. And she wanders into the farm. And so now, unfortunately, we didn't know she was pregnant. So I'll be putting a notice in the Connection next month for free kittens, probably. She's the sweetest thing. So now she is a house cat that goes out in the day and comes in at night. That's Ella Bella. And so she would definitely, I would take care of her. We got one more? Oh yeah, we got a couple more. All right. Now that was all about the first question, what I would grab. I'd get the animals out, I'd get the pictures of Elsie, and if Elsie's there, I'd get her out. And now the second question was, what would you spend your money on? What treasures, extra money, what would you do with it? Well, here we go. You don't want to see this room. It is packed. It is packed. See all that thread? There's more where that came from. See all those scissors? There's more of those too. Show the next one, Christy. And then we go to the yarn department. Yes, okay. And, and we have not only pigeonholes, but we have wicker baskets full of yarn. And then I thought I better stop because there's a wall on the side of the craft place that is full of paint and every other craft item you could imagine. I could open a store. That's what I do when I say, oh, I've got a little extra. I'm going to Joann's, I'm going to Michael's, I'm going to Home Goods. I have my list. And the other thing that I couldn't fit on a slide or put in a box comes from my friends. We all go out to eat, right? Everybody likes to go out to eat. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like to go out to eat, although there could be. All right. So that's one way that we socialize and get together and get good food, quite honestly, right? And so I often go out to eat, and often I have different friends with me. And it's been interesting to me. For full transparency here, that's all right. So here we go. So we order and whatever, and sometimes the friend will say, I'll get this one, it's my turn. Don't you guys do that? We'll pay one time and then I'll pay the next time. And that's how you kind of share it back and forth, and it's great, it's fun. So that's using some of our treasures, but that sounds pretty godly and good to me, right? And so when that happens, I also have certain places that I frequent for food, and I often do this and I don't even think about it. When it's time to go, particularly, even if I pay, I will take out more and leave a tip of a fairly large amount. I can tell you this honestly, I never look at and add up how much is 15%, how much is 20%. I never ever do that. I know what I have in my bag, and I know most of the servers in this town. And so I will pick up a 20 or a 10 or two 20s, and I will leave that on the table. And I'm telling you, this is several, not just one or two, but several of my friends will go, what are you doing? I already paid the bill. And I say, I know that. And they, well, what are you doing? I said, that's the tip. That's the tip? Yeah. Are you sure? You know, it's not the most common thing. I guess I thought it was. And it's very interesting because even 2 weeks ago, I was at a particular establishment. Oh, Jack's. I love Jack's. I go there Friday fish. Anybody eat their pollock there? It is the best fish around, I'm telling you. If you haven't been there, try it on a Friday night. You will probably see me. So I'm there, and once in a while, I will have the server come over and say, PK, somebody took care of you, but you don't know anything. I'll say, what? Somebody there that I wasn't paying attention to picked up my tab. And when that happens, I put the amount of the bill plus my $10 tip and I leave it on the table. Now, I am ever grateful for that. I am ever grateful for the people in this town that just do that out of love, because that's their gift. That's their way of using their treasures, you see, which is wonderful, right? But in turn, that was an extra blessing for me, right? So I could go by, what was my fault? I could go by and get a few more skeins of yarn and stuff them in my hole, or I could pass that blessing on to somebody who is working really hard while I'm resting. So a lot of my treasure goes that way. So I come back this morning to the question of what's in the jar for you? What did you put in there? God's message, again this morning, was, first of all, don't fear. That's the first thing of our reading this morning. You've already been given everything you need for a blissful, amazing eternity. Now, I'm right along with you because I just put it out there. You saw my treasures. I'm storing stuff up too. So I don't really get that in terms of, he said, sell all your possessions. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me, God? I really need this. And I ask you to think this morning, what's your, are you kidding, God? We really need this. God, I need a car. I need a car. What God is saying is, if you trust me to have already, get this morning, that's the whole point of this whole text. If you trust me enough to believe what I say, I just told you I have already given you everything you need. Now, it may not be in your cupboard. It may not be in your living room. It may not be in your garage with your tools. All right? But He will present it to you because He's already given it to you. He'll nudge that up to the forefront of your mind and you'll go, oh yeah, that's right. Somebody could share a ride with me. I could get to where I need to get if I trusted Him enough. But I can't sell my car, really, God. Yeah? Okay. What a simple, easy to understand thought. Don't fear, little flock. And yet it's that kind of optimism that was the focus, total focus of Jesus of Nazareth. When authorities tried to do Him in, you remember this, and mounting pressures from the Roman government on their leaders to execute Him, Jesus didn't focus on the day. He focused on His tomorrow. The author of Hebrews writes this, for the joy that was set before Him. Get that in your brains, please. For the joy that is set before you. You don't know what that joy is yet. For the joy that was set before Him, He endured the cross, despising and shamed, and is now seated at the right hand of God. We all know we're going to go through stuff, and we all go, woe is me. And Jesus knew two things, that the only ultimates were God's own love for us and His love alive in us. Backing that one up, you should know two things, just like Jesus did. That's how He could do what He could do. That God's own love for you is so great that you already have the kingdom. You already have everything forever and ever and ever. Remember, that's how I opened this. Eternally. So what does it matter here, right? For Jesus, that was His sole goal and the sole destiny of His entire life. Now, I don't think I could measure up to that. This, friends, is what's meant by talking about treasures in heaven. For Jesus, heaven and the kingdom of God aren't some distant promise. Don't we kind of think of that? Yeah, I get that. I know it was said, I read it in the Bible, I believe it, but it's not right now. Jesus already paid your down payment for the reality that the kingdom is available to you right now. Technically, you are walking in a part of heaven right now. And I know people are saying, yeah, right, Kathleen. Right. This is heaven. Why am I suffering? Is the glass half full? Or is it half empty? Fear not, little flock. This is the reality, gang. We live in the kingdom in which, by faith, the real treasures are this: that forgiveness can triumph over revenge. That's a kingdom gift. Forgiveness can triumph over revenge. That hope can triumph over your despair. It can. That joy will return over sorrow. That generosity will triumph over selfishness. And that love will even triumph over our apathy. These are the characteristics of the kingdom of heaven. These are the ones that Jesus gave his life for, that he also gained daily power as he walked this earth for. If our treasure is these realities of the kingdom of God, then our hearts will be on the positive side of these realities and not the negative side. When Jesus took control of your future destiny and the future destiny of the world at the cross, he placed in our hands, look out, here it comes. He placed in our hands to not live in the past or to really even live in the present, but to give you hope for the future. And boy, do we need that now, don't we? How much hope have you lost in our future these days? It's easy, isn't it? The world is circled around, and the circle seems to be getting a little smaller. And Jesus says, you already have everything you need to be joyful, peaceful, speaking love through your words and your actions. And yes, it's okay to do that in a world that seems to be turned upside down. Our own stories are filled with examples of wrongs that people have done to us, with our failures, with embarrassments, and even with anger that we haven't really overcome. Yet the love that dominated Jesus' life is already there for you. All you have to do is believe it and then look at you through the glass of the half to brimming full. Look what's here for you. Look at this. And that comes because of this. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, to give you more than you even know you have right now. Amen.